Hi. Today I'd like to talk about addictions. We're sitting at this is our sauna, and it's snowing a little bit, so it's okay to have a little roof over me. So addictions. We can't really, we can't get very far in a spiritual or soulful progression unless we recognize and deal with our addictions. And in our world, addictions are extremely commonplace, and to the point where I can have an addiction about the whole time we're awake. And they're just so ubiquitous and insidious that it is possible to live most of our life under the influence of an addiction. Now, we might think that an addiction is the cause of our difficulties. But it's not. Addiction is an effect of the cause. And the cause is that we do not want to, we are afraid to feel our feelings. We have a lot of feelings that we are just afraid to feel, and we have been hiding them, burying them, denying them, minimizing them for practically our whole life. And of course we get different addictions along the way, but what an addiction is the reaction to not wanting to feel those feelings, and so we do the addiction instead. So that's the effect of the cause. The cause is the not wanting to feel those things, and the effect is we take on addiction so we don't have to feel them. And in that we're not feeling our true feelings, we cannot be very well connected to our soul, because our soul is just pretty much complete emotion. There's all kinds of addictions, and it's easy to look at the ones that are common, and we all think are addictions, like alcoholism and nicotine, cigarettes, and drug use. Those type of things we obviously see those as addictions, and they are. But there's so many other ones that just are so much part of our culture that we don't recognize them as addictions, like caffeine use or phone use, and like those are there's all kinds of physical addictions we do, like the way we might eat, sugar addictions, the way we eat, what we eat, and of course the things like nicotine and alcohol. But there's the other wide range of addictions that we have when we may not recognize them much, and those are the addictions we have with other people. We could be under an addiction, a codependency, a way to relating with other people most of the time when we're relating to other people. We could have just some people that we do that with, and it's possible that we don't have anybody we do that with, but it's pretty unlikely that any of us don't have some sort of an addiction going on in our relationships with other people, whether they're our partner, our family member, our employer. And I'm not suggesting, certainly, that I haven't had those relationships and continue to. It's not something that you can decide one day and then all of a sudden just cut out, because you hardly recognize what's happening in that addiction. So we just continue it, and a lot of it we just think is a normal way that we live. One big one we could talk about is how we relate to our children, and even saying our children is kind of incorrect. They are God's children. We did something physical for about 5 seconds to start the process of having a child. And yes, certainly that child grew up in the mother. I'm not suggesting it didn't, but the creation is from God. The creation of us is from God. The way that can happen, the whole creative process of there being able to be life through that process was created by God. And to stay on this earth is a very, very short amount of time. And when we pass over in time, family doesn't really mean that much. And as we grow and grow spiritually, we don't maintain those binds that we feel here on earth. Anyways, I'm just suggesting the children are born through us, and we do caretake them, and we do, ideally, we do not indoctrinate them into any sort of system. We do not apply our will against their will. We allow them to grow, and we try to provide the best possible growing experience. But sometimes we feel we do have an ownership, and that we do need to pound into them or even suggest strongly into them some things that are just our beliefs. They are not necessarily accurate depictions of how things are in the world. And of course, we could all look and see at lots of examples of what parents do to children, and a lot of it is based on the unmet emotional needs of the parent, or I would say all of it is from the unmet emotional trauma that the parents have, and hiding and suppressing that is the cause of that. So I would just like to stress the importance of becoming aware of our addictions and the process, the reason why we have addictions, and I started this process a few years ago, even before I thought much about God. This was prior to that, and I came to the understanding that my addictions were running my life, really, and I didn't have any major life-hurting addictions. Like I did drink, and but I didn't. I mean, I didn't drink a lot every day or anything. But the one thing that helped me understand that the effect was when I did stop drinking. I would come home from work and have a beer or two, sometimes three, and just thought that was normal. I mean, it's so normal, certainly around here. For that's just what people do. A lot of people do that, and anyways, I stopped that, and I stopped drinking almost completely, and then I was and I stopped some other addictions too, and I did start having. When I just sat still with myself, I did start having feelings that I hadn't felt in the past, because I wasn't using those addictions to stop those or to not feel those feelings. So I did start having those feelings, and just it's not even necessarily feelings that I could name. It's just that a process was happening in my body. It was very physical in my body, of feelings coming out, and probably likely the biggest one is fear. But so I did that for a while. But then this one day I did come home from work, and I did have a beer, and I thought, well, one beer, what's that? But that process I couldn't access anymore. One beer, and it lasted for most of the evening. I couldn't access. I could just feel that my feelings were being deadened, and I just could not access what I had been accessing prior to that. So I just really realized it's not hardly the amount. It's just whether you practice that at all. And things that I stopped doing. I didn't stop doing everything, and I still practice some addictions. I'm not saying I don't. I do, and one is a very difficult one is caffeine, and the other one is scrolling on the computer, on the internet, and. I really like to know what's going on in the world, but it's I mean, that's my excuse. It is an excuse, because it doesn't take that long to know what's going on in the world. So But the accumulation of things that I had been doing addictively were just leading me not to feel those feelings, and now they are coming out, and it's not a fast process. Certainly, it takes time, and I just want to give it time, as much time as possible. But I see now that I'm more into the process, and more understanding what emotions are to my soul. I do understand more why the addictions are just so harmful, and cause you not to be able to progress. I think that I think that if you start to pray, or anybody starts to pray, and if you do have a lot of addictions, what's going to happen is it'll lead you to deal with those addictions, and you may not. It might be hard to recognize that's what's happening, and you will probably resist it. That's the thing. You will resist it. And you could then blame God for not giving you the answers that you want, but the answers are probably there. It's just suggesting, telling you, showing to you that you need to deal with your addictions. So addictions are huge and necessary to deal with. And our world is so full of addictions, and it's very easy to be in a work environment that is one big addiction. Just consider the people that work in the nicotine industry. There's really no benefit. There just is no benefit to humanity from smoking cigarettes. There's just none. But that a lot of people are supported by that industry, and so your whole livelihood could be feeding an addiction to other people, or maybe yourself as well. But there's lots of industries that are like that, and some that we would think are fairly benign just may not be. You just think of the soft drink industry. There's no good reason for anyone to be drinking a soft drink. It's just there's nothing in it that is helpful. And it's again, it just seems, well, it's just a soft drink. Well, yeah, but it's just not helpful. It's a huge addiction that helps us not connect to God and to our soul. And there's many of those types of things happening, and it's just so common in our society. So these are the things that when one would like to connect more to their soul and to God, these are the things that one must start to look at. So it's just not a one-step process, that's for sure, that everything will be fine. It won't be. But it's a process, and the thing is, it is fine, because it is leading. We tend to look at the negative. Okay, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and I don't know, can I change this or that? But it's the positive things that we could look at, and just the positive growth that would happen. And any time we can reduce our addictions or someone else's, then it's a good thing. We have to look at talking about reducing someone else's addictions, and we need to be really conscious of everyone's free will, and it is difficult to live with somebody under severe addictions. But we do need to be careful that we're not. I mean, they are choosing that, and it doesn't maybe look like they are, but they are choosing that, and they will need to make the choice to make changes in that. And it's very easy to one thing, to start to enable them, and because we don't want people to know, and we want to cover it up, and we don't like to see them hurting, and lots of reasons that we enable addictive behaviors, but we sure do, and that's the other side of addictions, strong addictions like that. We are on the other side as enablers, and that's an addiction as well. So that's mini talk about addictions, and it's a huge topic, and it's so prevalent in our world that but we can't look. If we don't look at something, we don't see it, and if we don't start to look at it, then we don't see it. So you start somewhere, and you start to wonder, okay, let's look at these things. Let's look at me. Let's look at what I do that may be along those lines of stopping me from feeling my feelings. And those feelings, they're very deep, some of them very deep, and they started when we were conceived, some of them, and when we grow up to be an adult, if we don't start dealing with those, then they tend to just increase slowly, gradually increase and increase, unless we do realistically and honestly look at them. So, thank you.